Welcome back again. Today we are going to discuss about one of the most scoring topic in UGC NET exam. One of the main objective of this exam is to assess teaching and research quality of aspirants. This topic accounts for 5 questions at least in every time. It means 10 marks. Many times I have noticed that it goes beyond that. So you should be completely prepared to answer this type of questions very easily without taking more time. For that, you should go through 8 different concepts related to teaching aptitude. These are the 8 different topics that we have found out after going through rigorously through the previous question papers. All questions are related to at least one of these topics. It might be nature of teaching, objectives of teaching, factors affecting teaching, characters of learners, characters of teachers, method and techniques of teaching, teaching aids, evaluation method. When you see these 8 topics, you may feel confusing and boring as well because most of them are overlapping and it is a descriptive story type things. However, if you follow what I am saying, you can solve 90% of these questions in teaching aptitude. The simple techniques which I am going to discuss is that use your common sense and elimination method. The synergy between this common sense and elimination method will give you 90% correct answer. What happens in teaching aptitude questions is that all options might be looking very correct, but one might be more correct and we have to select that. In some cases, all options might be similar and this type of questions are repeating in every time. So the best idea is that going through the previous question paper and see what UGC is considering as the correct answer. We will show how the repetition has come throughout the different years. Now let's analyze some real questions from previous first paper questions and we will see these different topics are coming here and there and some repetition. So let's start. This is a question related to teaching aptitude from the latest first paper question. It is 2018 December. The question starts here. The question says that from the list given below, identify these statements which relate to the characteristics of teaching act. Select from the code to indicate your answer. So this question is related to the characteristics of teacher. Let us analyze each statement one by one and answer the question very quickly. So first statement says that teaching is a personal act to facilitate self-development. It's not at all correct because teaching is not for self-development. So wherever there is A, we will knock out that option. So here there is A, we will knock out that option. There is no A in any other options. Let us go to the second statement. The goal of all teaching is to cause learning. For the time being, we are not sure whether it is correct or not, but it seems to be correct. The third option, teaching invariably implies changing the options of others. It is not necessarily correct. So we will knock out whichever option it has C. So the second option has C. So we will knock out that option. Now we are left with 2 options. So the work is very easy right now. Now let's compare these 2 options. Either one of these option is correct. So there is D in both. So we will not at all looking at D. There is F in both. We will not at all looking at F as well. We have to look either B and A. So let's read the statement B and E again. The goal of all teaching is to cause learning. That is the B. It seems to be correct. Let's come to the E statement. Teaching means selling ideas. It is not sounding correct. So B is more correct. So let's take this option as the correct answer. This is the way to solve the questions related to teaching aptitude very easily. Now let's check another question. This is also has been taken from the latest first paper. So the question is saying that which of the following are hindering factors in effective teaching? Select from the code given below. This is also about the effectiveness of teaching. So let's analyze each statement one by one. So first of all, teacher's self-efficacy. It is not at all an hindering factor. So wherever there is A, we will knock out that option. Now it is very easy to answer the question because we are left with two options. There is C common, so we will not at all discuss about this C because it is correct for sure. There is D common, we will not at all discuss about D, that is also correct. Now we have been left with F and B. Teacher's subject knowledge. It is not an hindering factor. So where there is B, we will knock out that option. So we have left with the first option, that is the correct answer. So even without reading these three statements, we have answered the question. That is the beauty of the elimination method. Otherwise, if we read every statement and decide whether it is hindering factor or not, then it will take more time. Then again you have to see which options have this statement and which options doesn't have this statement. So it will take lot of time. Let's move into another questions. The question says that in the following characteristics of an evaluation procedure, let's identify those which describe formative assessment and evaluation. Select from the code to indicate. Really, there are three kinds of assessment: formative, summative, and diagnostic. In the formative assessment, evaluation occurs during the instruction, whereas in summative it will be after the instruction. Our diagnostic assessment looks backwards rather than forwards. It assesses what the learner already knows or the nature of difficulties that the learner might have, which if it is not diagnosed properly at the beginning, might limit their engagement in new learning. It is often used before teaching. Now we have got an idea about the formative, summative and diagnostic evaluation method. So the question here, it is formative assessment. Let's look at the statement one by one. So first it says that evaluation is a post-instructional event. It is not at all correct according to formative assessment because it is happening during the instruction. So we will knock out all the options which have A. So only first options have A. In the second statement it says that evaluation occurs during the instruction. That is correct. So let it be there. Let us read the third statement. Evaluation is carried out by policy makers. No, evaluation can be carried out by teachers and many people. It's not the responsibility of policy makers only. So let's knock out all the options which are C. Now we have left with only one option. So no need of reading any other statement at all. So this is the simple way to solve teaching aptitude question. Use simple common sense and elimination method. That's it. Now let's discuss another question from the UGC NET paper itself. This is the question from 2018 July paper. So let's read the question. Which of the following set of statements best describe the nature and objectives of teaching? Here it is nature and objectives of teaching, which is one of the 8 topics which we discussed at the beginning. Indicates your answer by selecting from the code. So first A, teaching and learning are integrally related. It seems to be correct. Let it be there. We are not knocking out any options because of this first statement. Let's read the second statement. There is no any difference between teaching and training. We are not sure. Let it be there. Concern of all teaching is to ensure some kind of transformation in students. Again, we are not sure. The D statement, all good teaching is a formal in nature. It might not be. So we will knock out every options which has D. So we have been left with two options only. So let's see, is there any common items? C. So C is correct for sure. So we are not discussing about the C at all. Now let's read the E statement. A teacher is a senior person. It might not be all the time. So we will knock out the option which has E. So we have been left with the third option. So it's very easy if you go this way. Even without confirming about this statement whether it is correct or not, we have come to the answer. That is the beauty of elimination method. This is another question from the same paper. So, which of the following learner characteristics is highly related to effectiveness of teaching? So, it is the characteristics of learner. That is the point in this question. So, four options have been given. Prior experience of the learner. It is related to effectiveness of teaching. Let's read other statement as well. Then only we will come to the correct answer. Educational status of parents of the learner. That also related but not as it is the first statement. Prior group of learner. That is also but not as the first statement is related to the effectiveness of teaching. Family says from which the learner comes. There is very small impact of this on effectiveness of teaching. So the first option is highly related to the effectiveness of teaching, the prior experience of the learner. So again, as I discussed earlier, here you might be contradict with UGC, but this is the answer UGC gives. So similar kind of questions might be repeating in next year. So you should be aware of this answer. This is another question from the same paper. The question says that in the two sets given below, set 1 indicates the method of teaching. So this is the question related to methods of teaching. While set 2 provides the basic requirements of success and effectiveness. Match the two sets and indicate your answer by choosing from the code. So the method of teaching is lecturing, discussion in groups, brainstorming, programmed instructional procedure. The effectiveness given accordingly is that small step presentation with feedback provided, production of large number of ideas, content delivery in lucid language, use of teaching aids, theme-based interaction among participants. We have to match between these two sets. Here the discussion in groups and the fifth option, theme-based interaction among participants, match very well. Let's see whether B has the option 5. Answer is ready. No need of looking at any other options at all. Even we can cross-check after this. So A is 3. What is A? Lecturing. What is 3? Content delivery in lucid language. That is very correct. So by looking only one option, we have come to the answer. It's very simple. Use simple logic and common sense. You will get answer very easily. This is the question from 2017 November. The question says that from the list given below, identify the learner characteristics. Here again, it is characteristics of learner, which would facilitate teaching learning system to become effective. Choose the correct code to indicate your answer. Prior experience of learner, that's correct. The similar kind of question as repeated before, not this point which I told you before, that similar kinds of questions are repeating in teaching aptitude across the time. That is one thing I am noticing for long time. That's why I told you before. This is the correct. We are not knocking out any options because of this. The second statement says that learner's family lineage. This is not related to effectiveness of teaching as such. So we will knock out these options, which has B. We are knocking out this option. Aptitude of the learner, this is the C. That might be correct. D. Learner stage of development. We are not sure for the time being. E. Learner's food habits and hobbies. It's not related as such. So we will knock out the option which has E. Now we have come to the answer. It is 1. This is very easy if we follow this method. Even we have been completed reading all the statement and we haven't taken any final call whether these all statement are correct. Still we have got the answer. Now let's discuss another question. So this is a question from 2017 January. Let's discuss about this question. The question says that which of the following sets of statements represent acceptable propositions in respect of teaching-learning relationship. So the question is about teaching and learning relationships. Choose the correct code to indicate your answer. So let's discuss each statement one by one as we have done before. The first statement says that when students fail in a test, it is a teacher who fails. We are not sure about this statement. The second statement, every teaching must aim at ensuring learning. Can be, but we cannot knock out any option based upon this. There can be teaching without learning taking place. This is the correct, but we are not knocking out any options based upon this option. We will knock out the option when it is incorrect. The fourth option says that there can be no learning without teaching. It is not at all correct. There can be learning without teaching as well. So we will knock out the option which has 4. Now we have been left with only 2 options, second and fourth. Here first is repeating, second is repeating, fifth is repeating. Now we have to read only third and sixth statement. What is the third statement? Let's read it again. There can be teaching without learning taking place. That is correct. So we have come to the answer. The correct option is second. This is another question from the same paper. The question says that effectiveness of teaching has to be judged in terms of course coverage, students' interest, learning outcomes of students, use of teaching aids in the classroom. As I said before, these all options are correct, but third option seems to be more correct. The effectiveness of teaching has to be judged upon the outcome. Teaching is an input, so we have to look the output. So the third option is the correct answer. Again, taking another question from the same paper, it says that one of the most powerful factors affecting teaching effectiveness is related to the social system of the country, economic status of the society, prevailing political system, educational system. All are related, but educational system is more related to effectiveness of teaching. So it's very simple and straightforward. This is a question from 2016 July. The question says that which of the following set of statements reflect the basic characteristics of teaching? So the question is about the characteristics of teaching. Select the correct alternative from the codes. The first statement says that teaching is the same as training. It's not. Teaching and training is different things. So we will knock out all the options which have the first statement. Now we have been left with 2 options, so the work is very easy. So 3 is repeating here. What is the second statement says? There is no difference between instruction and conditioning when we teach. There is difference between instruction and conditioning. Both are different concepts. So we will knock out the option which has 2. Now we have been left with only the second option. That is the correct answer. Even we haven't read any statement later. Still we have answered the question. Coming to another question from the same paper. The question says that which of the following factors affect teaching? Teachers' internal locus of control. It might be, but we are not sure. Learner motivation, it affects for sure. Teachers' biographical data. Teachers' biography is not at all affecting teaching. So we will knock out the options which have third statement. Now we have been left with only one option. So that is the correct. I haven't read this statement at all, still I have answered the question. So if you have this kind of idea and conceptual clarity regarding the teaching aptitude, you will take only very less time to answer the questions related to teaching aptitude. This is another question from the same paper. Which of the following learner characteristics, note this is the characteristics of learner, are likely to influence the effectiveness of teaching aids and evaluation systems to ensure positive results? The similar questions as repeated before, please note that. It says that learner's family background, age and habitation, not at all. Learner's parentage, socio-economic background and performance in learning of the concerned subject, not. Learner's stage of development, social background and personal interest, not as such. Learner's maturity level, academic performance level and motivational dispositions. That is more correct in the effectiveness of teaching. So this is the answer. Let's solve some more questions from previous papers. This is the question from 2015 December. Which of the following attributes denote great strength of a teacher? The first statement says that full-time active involvement in institutional management. As a teacher, involving in the institutional management is not the first priority of a teacher. So we will knock out all the options which has A. By reading the first statement itself, we have come to the answer. You don't need to read other statement at all. This is the question from 2015 June. It says that which of the following factors does not impact teaching? This similar question has been repeated. Please note it. Teachers' knowledge has impact on teaching? Definitely. Classroom activities that encourage learning, that also has impact. Socio-economic background of teachers and students. This doesn't have any impact on teaching. So this kind of question has repeated before. So this is the answer. If you have gone through the previous question paper, then there will not be any confusion for you to answer this type of questions. Let's solve another question from the same paper. Techniques used by a teacher to teach includes. So this is the question about the method and techniques of teaching. Lecture, interactive lecture, group work, self-study. All first three options seems to be method. But the fourth option, self-study, is the not a technique used by teacher. It is the technique used by students. So if there are any D, we will knock out that option. So this is the correct answer. So follow the elimination method and use your simple common sense. You can get the correct answer in the 90% of the questions related to teaching aptitude.